questions before we? Oh, super. All right, Bancha, Jesse, you can take it away.
Hi all, I'm Bancha Sakacha. I'm the actually the instructional technologist for the college, and I am in higher ed cohort 4. As of December 15th, I'm advanced to candidacy. I think this is my third or fourth time doing this workshop. So as Dr. Iverson said, yeah, we'll be going over Digication, which is the platform for ePortfolio. So just to get a little vocab out of the way, ePortfolio is the practice, the piece we'll be making. Digication is simply the brand name of the product that we'll be using. As I mentioned, I've been doing this for a few years, and last year, Jesse Lubinsky was in the session, and I noticed such promise in the program's graduate assistant. So I reached out to him, and we've been working closely together. And he will be. I've developed. Student has become the master, so he will be your. I can answer questions too, but Jesse will be the main point person for Digication capstone questions. In general, as my role here at Manhattanville, I lead the faculty and student support on Blackboard and Education. But I will toss it over to Jesse now. Thanks.
So thank you so much. So Jesse Lubinsky, I am in higher ed cohort 6, and I actually started last year while I was doing the program. I was serving as a grad assistant, and as Bancha mentioned, it kind of transitioned over to Digication work. So if you have questions moving forward regarding the ePortfolio and Digication, you could just contact me directly. We could set up a time to do some of that. I will tell you, having sat in your seats a year ago, the mistake my cohort and I made during this session was, as Bancha was showing, we were trying to do at the same time, and we quickly got into the weeds and then realized that was not for this session. So taking the lessons from us from last year, what I would advise is, we are recording this, just kind of watch the steps. I also, one of the things we struggled with was finding exemplars, because as you're going to see, you have the ability to control the permissions for how visible your page is. So in other words, the exemplars I'm going to share with you are all available if you were to search the internet, but you can close it off so that only you can see it, or only Manhattanville people can see it. So that's why it's hard to kind of find a lot of public examples, but we found 3 really good examples. 2 of them are mine and Bancha's. One of them is from a recent graduate, Ian. So those could be good frames to kind of get it. They're all different in their own ways. But what I want to do is just start off by showing you how you would even begin to create your portfolio. So we're going to start off with that. And then Bancha, if there's something you want me to show, just chime in, because yeah, okay. Hold on one second. Share screen. Okay, so if I go to my Digication homepage, so mville.digication.com is where you can go to log in. And again, it's single sign-on, just like all of the resources we have at Manhattanville. So you could sign on using your Manhattanville, the same thing you would use to get into your email. You can see that I have a few listed portfolios already. So one is mine, and then I have 2 other portfolios that I don't really use as much. They're kind of demo portfolios. What you should notice when you log in, though, is down toward the bottom, you should have already been assigned. And I know Bancha checked this out. For me, it says EdD Higher Ed Cohort 6. For you, it'll say whatever your, if it's signature, it'll say signature and then your cohort number. If you go into that page, what you will see is, if you click on ePortfolios, you'll see the list of all of the people in your cohort who have made their portfolios visible, as well as what you might see initially is just this EdD portfolio template. That's like what you would see as the starting point. What you're going, created by Bancha. Thank you, Bancha. What we will do at that point is hit create ePortfolio from template. When we do that, it'll ask us to name our portfolio, and there is an actual naming convention to this. I believe it's first, right? It's for Bancha, first name, last name, and then cohort, right? Program and cohort.
First name, last name, / the name of the cohort. Like I'm HIED cohort 4.
Right. So first name, last name, higher ed here, but if your signature, you can do signature. And I would say 6.
That's it.
Now, and this is going to be very useful for you in a second, is when I hit create, you're going to see that the portfolio, it's going to create all the pages for you. But what Bonch has done by creating this template is, Dr. Iverson mentioned the program themes. There is already a page for each of those themes, like a section for them. So the basic skeleton of your portfolio is already created. What you choose to do with it from that point on is kind of up to you. So you'll see, this is what I'm going to see as a starting point, right? So I'll see I have an about section as well as a section for each of the 5 themes of the program. We're going to get into, I think this might be a good point for me. I'm going to leave this one for a second and just show you what a finished product might look like. So Bonch, I'm going to hop into yours. And you'll see that on Bonch's, he's added a section since then, but underneath each of those 5 themes, he's created pages that have, for instance, the first year reflection that was mentioned that you'll have to write, or a leadership philosophy statement, things like that. So that's the goal, is to start with that skeleton and build it out to where you have all of those different pieces underneath each of the 5 themes. And underneath each of the 5 themes, you're going to have a combination of coursework and capstone work. And so that's where kind of it differs. There's no prescribed way of doing it. So I showed you Bonch's, and Bonch kind of has everything listed by category. Ian, who graduated, kind of labeled them capstone and paper to kind of differentiate which went with which, and I kind of did the same thing. So there's lots of different ways to choose to do that, but ultimately all of those different things are being classified underneath. And kind of build on what Dr. Wan said when he was talking about how do you determine what would be an appropriate thing for an individual capstone. Ultimately, for me, when I look at the things I'm doing in my own professional life, if it's something that I think could fit under capstone, I read the kind of program themes and think, does it fit within one of these 5 program themes? If so, I'll add it as a capstone. Now, in terms of editing and working within Digication, it is both super intuitive and not intuitive at all. So there's going to be some pieces that make total sense, and other pieces that I even have to sometimes hit Bonch up and be like, how do I do this really simple thing again? So each of these little things right here where it says like about me, resume, contact information, each of those individual things is called a module. And it's just a space where I can add content. So notice if I click on the about me, Bonch has actually gone in and added some prompts to kind of help you along. So for each of these pre-existing modules, you should see some basic information here. And he's actually added some links to some exemplars as well that you can actually find out more information about. So for instance, under the about me, if I wanted to edit this, I have some options here. One being that I can move it around if I wanted to move it lower. Maybe I wanted to move it down, move it up. I could change the settings on it, or I can simply just hit edit and edit text. And you can see there's all the text editing and features, hyperlinks, all of that stuff can be found up here. Now, notice how it'll automatically save similar to a Google Doc. The only thing that you have to need to know that you have to do is it's not public until it's published, right? So those changes won't be, and Bonch, I feel like they just changed that, right? They used to be published was right up at the top over here, and I feel like it moved.
Yeah, that's new.
Yeah. So it used to be just a published. I noticed this in like the last week or so, that there was a published link here, and now I think it's up under share.
Yeah.
Right.
Thanks.
Couple of other things to note besides just generally editing. What I just showed you was text editing, but one of the big things you'll see on Digication, and I feel like Ian did this on a couple of his, is you'll notice that rather than type in the text, like Bonch and I had typed in the text for our reflections, Ian just uploaded a PDF version of that. So you have the ability to upload PDFs. You also have the ability to embed Google Documents or Google Slide decks, things like that. So if I wanted to do something like that, what I might want to do here is using the blue plus on the bottom right-hand corner, I can actually choose to add a module here. Now I have a PDF already saved, so I'll show you the PDF first, then I'll show you how I would use the embed, which if you've ever worked with websites before, embed always makes me think of like embed code, but in Digication they use links. But if I choose to upload a file, I'm just going to go to desktop and I have Digication uploads and I have a PDF right here. So this was my personal statement. I can choose to upload it and then simply hit upload. Now, once it's there, notice, okay, it's there, but I don't know if this is exactly the way I would want it to be displayed. So I have the ability to resize my modules simply by clicking and dragging. I can either do it down, or I can actually expand the entire size of it by just simply stretching it all the way over and using the full length of the page. You can do as much or as little as you want. I think as you start to kind of get a feel for it, you'll decide how much you want to kind of have open. I will just say on mine, I tend not to upload my papers. I tend to just copy and paste the text in there, including the references. And that has required me to actually drag the module all the way down to the bottom to include all of the text. But that is an option as well. So you have the ability to either do it as an embedded document, do it as text. Now, why one versus the other? There's no real pro or con other than when you embed a PDF here, it does give you the ability to download the PDF. For some reason, I just don't love the fact, I just don't want my documents being downloaded per se, but I do realize people can copy and paste text right out of here. I just like the consistency and look feel of embedding the text directly, but I think it's perfectly appropriate to do it where you're uploading the text as well. Now, I mentioned before, and actually I'll drop this link into the chat now. I would hold off on clicking on it for now. I just want to put it in the chat so it's there, but I'm going to share the links to these 3 portfolios that I was using as exemplars so you have them for later. But I'm actually also going to use this as the document that I'm going to embed. So in order to embed a Google Doc, if you wanted to do it that way, the one thing you have to do is change the sharing permissions for it. And not, if you've ever used Google Docs before, most of us tend to go right to share. That isn't really where we're going to change it. What we're going to do is under File, you have to set it to under Share here. You can allow it to be published to the web. By choosing Publish to the web, what that will do is it'll actually make it so it's a published document on the internet. It automatically gives it view all access, but I can now take this link, and if I come back here, let's just say I want to delete this module. And whenever you delete a module, it's going to actually ask you to type the word delete. But let's just say I want to embed that document. I'll go back to add a module. And I believe it's embed. And it'll ask me to submit a link. I'll just, oops. Embed. And I'll paste the link in. Perfect. Embed. And notice now that Google document is embedded in the document. I think, Banchi, you also wanted me to show gallery.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do that first by showing how to add a new page.
Cool.
Because you have the pages that are here already. But what about if I want to add more pages? And this is the one area I find somewhat non-intuitive. So editing and adding modules, that all seems fine. In order to actually edit what's up here, or to add a page, what I'm actually doing is kind of editing the header itself. I unlock the header section, and then once I'm in the header section and I see that edit my header, I can edit the navigation module, and it's here that it will allow me to add a new page. So I can click demo page. Click add a new page. I'm going to type demo page. And this is the one part I really do like about this, is because you're going to want to file a lot of these pages, whether they're papers or capstone projects, underneath each of the 5 themes, I can simply drag it to underneath the heading I want it, and it will actually become a subpage of that. Oops. When you see it kind of indented over a little bit, that'll actually make it a subpage of that header. So right now, this demo page should be under leading learning organizations. I'm going to hit save, and notice when I go under leading learning organizations now, demo page is right there. So if I go to that demo page, notice when I start off with a blank page, there is nothing. There are no modules there. So what I want to do now is I'm going to add my first module. And in this one, I'm going to choose upload file. Now, I've never used this feature, but Bach really wants me to show this to you. So I'm going to show it to you, which is the gallery feature. So I'm going to choose to upload a series of files. So let's say I had a bunch of files on people using VR, which you don't realize how weird it is until you see a bunch of people with their headsets using VR. But we'll just choose a bunch of different ones, hit open, hit upload. And notice now they've been uploaded, but they only show up as one because they're actually in gallery form. Now I have the ability to actually, I think I could switch this around, right, to make it a grid view if I wanted, or toggle that off. So you have the ability to upload images if you have them. For instance, if you're doing a capstone and you are collecting images from an event that you've run, you can actually just take all those images and upload them into a gallery form that you can use. One other thing I would recommend, and if you were in class with me last semester, you heard me recommend this, but this happened kind of accidentally. I fell into this, but it's now become a habit. In class, if in some of your classes, you're asked to do like 10-minute presentations. I've actually gotten to the habit of pre-recording those for class and then adding them as an artifact to my portfolio. So for instance, for legal issues last semester, we had to do a 10 to 15-minute presentation. I pre-recorded it, showed it during class by sharing my screen, but then just uploaded it to YouTube and had it as an artifact to add to the portfolio along with the slides. So ton of different options here. Bancho, was there anything else you wanted me to?
Yeah, actually, I was just about to interject. Can you go back to your legal issues page?
Oh, sure.
So notice he has his the artifact, which is the presentation. Underneath, he's got a small text module. This was part of the assigned class discussion. So that's the reflection piece of it. So that lets the reader know, what is this video? How does it fit into everything? Why do I want to watch it? So the crux of ePortfolio, as Dr. Iverson, she started discussing that at the beginning of this session, is artifact and reflection. So give the reader a reason to explore your content. Can you go back to the VR page? Maybe you can show them, you've got the gallery and then put a little text module and write
100%. I'll actually add for anything here that's listed capstone, you'll notice that I have that blurb that only has to be a paragraph or two, kind of talking about what are the, why is this relevant? If you happen to publish something, you can actually include the citation, whatever it is. The one thing, and I think Dr. Wan may have mentioned this to you if he spoke to you about this already, but remember your capstone stuff starts from the time you start the program. So if you've been doing conference presentations already, even if you haven't started the Capstone 1 course yet, those still are eligible to be used for your capstone. So you can already start capturing this stuff. And even though I waited till the end of my first year to build my portfolio, I would definitely recommend if you have some time now, putting it together, because it's a lot easier to just add stuff as you go along. And the last thing before I jump over is if you click on each of the theme pages themselves, I think I took this from Ian, but Bancha has this also. Some of the verbiage for those theme descriptions, you could just copy that and put that right onto the page itself for those different program themes. So Bancha, you said on this page we want to add a module.
Yeah, text module. That'll be key.
Yep. So we'll add rich text. And that's our text box. And again, we can I tend to resize these out to the edges.
VR is really cool.
Yeah, exactly. So that's it. So really it's adding, and again, even if all you were adding was text, that would still be fine. But the idea is that you're breaking each of those things, whether it's a paper or a capstone, underneath each of the 5 broader themes. And so just to show you what I showed before about the program themes, there's already a page here for each of when you click on the theme itself. So you can literally copy and paste that text and just add it to the theme. Boncha, anything else you want me to show?
Yeah, I just want to read. Dr. Wan's use of the word showcase is key here. So it's not, it's your finished work that you want to showcase. It's not really a working space. Let me put up a draft here and there and I'll fix it later. Just when it's graded and you polished it and ready for prime time, that's where you can put it up.
Yep. So I shared that link in the chat with the links to myself, Boncha, and Ian's portfolios. You can feel free to check those out. If you have any questions, I'll put my contact info into the chat. If you want to reach out, if you want to schedule a time, I'm happy to do it either individually or with groups of people. That's fine for me. And oh, I should mention the link I shared before for the conference that we're running. I think it's cohorts 5 and 6 higher ed that are kind of spearheading the effort. If you want to put in a request to present, that presentation counts towards Capstone 1 individual hours. So yeah, that's it. We're looking forward to hopefully seeing you on February 11th at the conference.
Thanks.
Thank you both for providing that overview of like how to navigate and use Digication. So any of you that have questions can ask them, but the one thing I want to make sure that you're all leaving here with or feel able to create is your URL. So if that piece that Jesse covered in like the first minute needs to be done again, ask for that, because especially those that are registered in my winter term class, you know that you need to just send me your URL as a component of the pro seminar. So did everyone buzz through that? Or no, I see some head going no. So maybe Jesse, could we recap how do I create my URL so that everyone can at least leave here with that in their pocket?
Yes. So so when you log into Digication, I'll share my screen one more time. And that's why we recorded it, because we went through this exact same thing last year. Even I had to reach out to Boncha.
And there will be a request for the video. So if you send it to me, I'll get it to everybody else. Thanks.
So starting at that homepage again, when you log in, on the lower portion, you're going to see a section which is for your, whether it's signature pathway in your cohort number or higher ed in your cohort number. When you click on that.
And we'll pause. Did people find that? All of you are logged in. Good. I'm seeing some thumbs up. Excellent. All right. Okay. Keep going.
After clicking on that and then clicking in the center on ePortfolios, you may not see the names of people from your cohort yet, because those pages may not be created. But what you can do is click on the EdD portfolio template. What you're going to do is click on Create ePortfolio from Template. By clicking on that, that will bring you to the place where you can actually do that first name, last name, / signature and your cohort number, or high ed and your cohort number. Once you do that, it's already created, and all those pages will be there already. So really, this is the challenge to make sure you get this far. But like I said, we left this session last year, and I don't think any of us had it created or knew we were doing it. And having sat in you've been in your shoes a year ago, trust me, I know what this feels like at this point, having just completed first semester or just about to start. It will all fall into place. It does. So again,
once the name is in there, you'll see the URL address at the bottom populate. So if you write test student HIED 6 or whatever.
Yep.
There you go.
And then hit create, and it'll take care of the rest for you. The first time after this that you really even deal with the ePortfolio is in the capstone, which you do over the summer. So there's a little break right now. If you want to start putting stuff into it and start kind of pulling it together, you can. But, you know, again, it depends on kind of if you have stuff ready to go for it or what.
Also, can you go to the top right and go over the permission settings?
Yes. So under the sharing settings, notice how there are some default settings that are automatically applied. So you're going to notice that the faculty all have permission already to see your portfolios, but you'll notice this one is private, meaning other than the faculty members, no one can see this. If I were to say make it private within Manhattanville College, it would show up on that page before. Right, Bancha, the one where so if I went to my portfolio, my cohort's portfolio page, all of the people, the 4 people you saw on my page, those are the ones who have them either public or private within Manhattanville. Once you, if you make it public, it is open to everyone. So the ones that you're seeing, like Bancha, Ian, and I all have them public. So here's where you can make that change. If I change to private within Manhattanville, and actually, this might be a good example for a second. If I hit save, and then jump back out to home and go back into that portfolio group, you should see me there twice now.
You hadn't shared it with the course. Oh, there it is. HIED.
Oh no, that's the real one. So you're right, I didn't share it with the course. Okay, but yeah, that should be it. I think for getting it created.
Yeah.
Any other key points to share, Bancha, or we hit most of the basics?
That's good. Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
any questions up there? I mean, if they're very
Yeah, we'll take questions too.
personal, like unique, we might have you.
And
but
like I said, I'll put my info
generally.
in the chat afterwards. So
Mhm.
this is part of my grad assistant work. So it's,
Mhm.
you know, don't feel like you're imposing. I have to be doing this. Dr.
Any questions?
Right.
I have a question.
Yes, good, wonderful.
Typically
Jeffrey.
for our papers or our assignments, we get a rubric about quality and length. And one point, Dr. Iverson I saw a nod her head when we mentioned reflection going
Mhm.
along with the content piece. So are there required elements to the different sections that we have to post?
I think I put in the chat. There isn't really a rubric per se, but this Digication link that describes the e-portfolio, and off of there's also some information about your first year reflection. Are the guides that were developed by the faculty. So it used to be just populated like 5 years ago with just a bunch of artifacts, and the faculty agreed that helping the viewer of the e-portfolio understand the connection was what was critical. So we've tried to elaborate on that you're choosing 4 of your 6 courses in the first year for your first year reflection. And then for the e-portfolio overall, when you put an artifact in attachment to the program themes, that you have something that reflects on, you know, what you learned, what the connection is, how that relates to the theme. But Dr. Wan, you review and evaluate these. What would you add?
First of all, I want to thank Bancha and Jesse for a job very well done. Thank you very much. Jeffrey, to answer your question, we don't have a rubric. We did have, but eventually we decided not to use that. We felt it was a little bit too rigid, and therefore we want you to be innovative and creative. But the completion of e-portfolio construction would include covering all 5 themes. Each theme should have a minimum 2 pages, meaning 2 items, in addition to the artifacts that you have collected. For example, you present at a conference, you should have a conference proposal, most conference program, sometimes the conference evaluation as well. So you can include whatever you have to support, again, the Bancha made that point, and I mentioned earlier, it's a showcase that how great you are, how significant your work is. So that's the key. And that's why, we decided not to use the rubrics anymore, because which some kind of the binding, and which is not good. And so but again, if you're uncertain, check with me. For all of you, I would not recommend you to have it go to public right away. And you may want to start with private within Manhattanville College, because you have to log in. Only Manhattanville family members can have access. Okay, if private, then later on you'll forget. Then myself and others would not have no access. Very frustrating, And student did all the work. I could not review anything, because it's private. And so that's why I would recommend put your initial setting as in a private within Manhattanville College. So only those of us have accounts and logged in with our real name, then you would have access. So that's my advice.
I asked the question, but I think it got missed in the chat. For the professional development experiences and the presentations, do they have to occur at Manhattanville, or can they occur for other organizations as well?
My understanding is other orgs, but you want to get that approved through Dr. Wan. Like, it can't be a thing that you're doing in your job already, right, Dr. Wan? But if it is
Correct.
something additional to, but you're doing that through, a workshop through a regional teacher center or something, I would assume. Is that correct, Dr. Wan?
That is correct. If you get paid, you cannot count it as a capstone experience. However, there is some kind of a gray area, meaning that you have gone beyond what your duty called for, and you did extra work, and even though it's within your area of job responsibility, nevertheless you have done extra work. So if you can demonstrate that, and it can't be counted. So that's why check with me, if you're uncertain. And I have one Dr. student who is assistant superintendent for curriculum instruction, and she did a lot of work for the state, which is really not a part of her job. So that part will count. And what she did, like professional development for her own school district, will not count. But she did it for the state, will count. Even though because that's way beyond what she was being paid for.
Good. Thank you, Jesse and Bancha and Yiping, for helping us better understand ePortfolio, Capstone, and Digication. And the recording could probably stop now, and then we'll